Okay, we're going to take a look at how to write an equation of a line from a graph. So the first thing we have to think about is because we're doing a line, we have y equals mx plus b. And m is our slope, and b is our y-intercept, which is when it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to find our points on our line. The very first point I always identify is where it's crossing the y-axis, which is right there. And then what we want to do is we want to find when our blue line is intersecting what we call lattice points. A lattice point is where our grid lines intersect. So notice that it intersects at these points here, and I can also go this direction as well. And once we've identified our points, now we can count and do our rise over our run. If you remember, our slope is rise over run. And so our first thing, when we take a look at our equation, we have y equals, and we begin at our b if we want to think about that. So if we look here, here is my y-intercept, which is at -1. So I have a -1 for my b. I'm going to carry down my x, and then we need to figure out our slope. And our slope is rise over run. So from this intercept, I'm going to count. I got to rise 1 and right 1, rise 1, right 1, rise 1, right 1. So that's a stair step, and that's what's happening every single time, which means my slope is rise 1 over right 1. And I can rewrite 1 over 1 as just a 1x minus 1, or we could also just say x minus 1 because it's understood that there is a 1 right there. So there would be the equation of that line. Let's take a look at number 2. So again, the first point I identify is my y-intercept. So it's crossing the y-axis there. And then I follow my line. There's another lattice point intersection. Here's another lattice point intersection. And then really there's another one right there. So if we look at this, think y equals mx plus b. My b is my y-intercept, which is right here. So that's at a -4. Bring down my x and my y. And now I got to find my m. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 up and left 1. Because we went left 1, that 1 is negative. Now, another way we could look at this is starting on these points and working from left to right. So here I'm going down 1, 2, 3 and right 1. So that's a -3 and a +1. So either direction you do it, -3 over a +1, these two fractions here mean the exact same thing. And because they're over 1, I could just say it as -3. So there is my equation of that line. Let's take a look at another one here. So our y-intercept is right here. And then if I follow my line, here's another lattice point. And let's count. So we have y equals mx plus b. My b is at 4, and that's a +4. And I carry my x and my y, and then I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Since I went down, that's negative. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 to the left, and because that's negative, so then my rise is -5, my run is -3, and two negatives make a positive, which means my slope is 5 over 3. And there is my equation. If we take a look at number 5, we have a vertical line. And if you remember from last unit, we talked about Hooy-Vux. And because it's vertical, we have a Vux. And because it's a Vux, I have an X, which means X equals, and then you got to look at your X-axis. It's crossing at 1. So X equals 1 is my equation. And that's going to be when you have a vertical line. Let's look at a problem where we have a horizontal line. So let's take a look at number 8. This is a horizontal, which means it's a Hoy, which means I have a y. So we have y equals, and then look at where it crosses the y-axis. It's at -1. So then I have a -1, and that is my answer. And that's how we write equations from graphs.